Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best here with Sterling Holmes and producer Richard. Sterling, what's going on, my man? 7-0.
Yeah, things are great in Chiefs Kingdom. I mean, seriously, I don't know what there is to complain about. When the national media starts calling the only undefeated team in back-to-back Super Bowl champion frauds, I guess all you have to say is, well, they don't know ball.
And they are desperate for clicks, eyeballs, all those things. They have to talk about something because they get tired of talking about the Chiefs' dominance. But that's what we're going to talk about today because we don't get tired of talking about the Chiefs' dominance, do we? We never do. More of that, please. So what's this?
I'm kidding. I was being facetious. Sometimes I get tired of talking about the dominance of the Chiefs. I'm like, no. Every once in a while, I'm like, what? I'm being facetious, of course. This is ridiculously amazing. I was talking about today on radio about the Romeo Crennel Kyle Orton-led Chiefs that beat the Packers. Like that's remember those days when that was what really got some bumps going. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, the Chiefs just beat everyone. This is what they do.
I do get what you're saying though, because when we first started Arrowhead Addict, the Chiefs were not good. So their teams are in some ways are a little bit easier to cover, not better to cover necessarily, but when they're bad, because you can be more critical. It's kind of hard to be critical of this Chiefs team, right? I mean, we're always nitpicking.
It's like I feel bad. I'm like the Chiefs need to do this. They need to go out. And I'm like, oh wait, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions and they're 7-0. It's wild to think, Adam. Wild. Maybe Brett Veach knows more than me. Bold take, I know. It's bold, but I might have to acquiesce here.
Has more intel, has spent more time doing this, maybe not infallible, but grading him against the rest of the league. I mean, especially when he doesn't really have the checkbook that a lot of other GMs have. You can't really argue with the results. I was thrilled that he went out and got, let's see if I got the pronunciation right. I think he wants to be called Joshua.
Correct.
Joshua Uche. Joshua Uche. That is the correct pronunciation. He not resting on his laurels. DeAndre Hopkins was not enough. And frankly, I'm not sure he's done dealing. Are you?
Yeah, I think he's probably done.
Maybe a small little.
Well, you'd have to have a move. You'd have to make a move first, like contract wise. They have no money to work with. They have like $200 and some thousand, which they always say is enough to leave the lights on. So, no, I think they're done unless you saw another move contract wise get done first.
Yeah. And I don't think they want to clear a bunch of more cap. I mean, this is pushing it for them. And I think it shows that they are serious about three-peating. Well, we've got an amazing show for you guys today. We'll examine if the Chiefs truly have a chance to finish the regular season with the perfect record. It's only been done, 2 other times? But before that, there's a little bit of business we have to take care of.
Oh, yeah, baby. And we're talking about Underdog. Underdog is the spot. By the way, just so you know, there's a lot of fun things going on Underdog right now. Over 5 million fans already playing on Underdog. And it's not just for NFL. Oh, yeah, baby. I'm doing it for NBA, and I got one rocking for the World Series tonight as well. I do always love the vulture protection as well, the injury protection. When Jaden Daniels went down, that leg was basically just crossed off. It's so easy to win right there on Underdog. All you have to do is go higher or lower on your favorite players' stats, and then you cash in right there on Underdog. If you download the app today and use code Arrowhead Addict, all one word, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's code Arrowhead Addict, all one word, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Some that I have rocking tonight, some NBA one I have, LeBron. They're playing Cleveland. So LeBron over 22.5 points. Rui Hachimura, from Washington, played at Gonzaga in college, always liked him. Took him higher, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assist. Peyton Pritchard has been going over this one perpetually this season. He's been almost the sixth man for Boston, higher, 10.5 points. And then I also coupled that with Indy's Pascal Siakam, over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assist. And it's just that easy. If you want to follow that, if you want to tail that, feel free. If you want to fade me, also, I understand. I won't be sad. You can do that as well. All it is, higher or lower, right there on Underdog Fantasy. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado. For some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 100 next step 1-800-639-8783 or text next step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8 Hope and Y or text Hope and Y 467-369.
Man, when you were talking, I just started thinking about how long LeBron has been in our sporting lives. I mean, seriously, I may have not been old enough to drink when I first heard about LeBron James. I'm fairly old here, guys. So just crazy. But I've appreciated LeBron, even though I'm not a fan of any of his teams, throughout his entire journey. And that is what I would advise people to do with Patrick Mahomes. I was a little bit of a Jordan hater as a Pacers fan. And looking back, I should have been more of an appreciator, but youth is wasted on the young. So just a bit of advice from life experience, from lived experience. Just enjoy Mahomes, enjoy these Chiefs. They're kind of a once in a generation spectacle in terms of sport. So that PSA. We have a special segment for you guys today where we will break down the Chiefs' chances at staying undefeated. Can they go 17-0, or is it simply mission impossible?
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
No.
All right, baby. We're going to go through this. I like that you're going to play the foil. That's going to be good radio here. We can go back and forth. This is going to be highly interactive. So jump in at any time when you have a point or you think I'm crazy. You might be jumping in too much if that's the case. But
here's the noise I'll do so that way I don't interrupt you. If I agree with something you say, this is what I'll do. If I disagree with something you say, I will.
Yeah, that's nice. That totally works for me. And at the end of this, we're going to go through the rest of the schedule and we're going to mark each game either red, big threat, yellow, moderate threat, or green, no threat at all. So that will be the end of this. So we're not just looking at them being undefeated, potentially. We're looking at the rest of the season. But let's jump right in. Part of the reason we're doing this, why we're kind of analyzing whether this level of play is sustainable, is because Mahomes has never been 7-0 before. So this is going to be his best shot to do that. And Tom Brady did it. He led a team to an unbeaten season. It is not impossible. The Miami Dolphins did it many, many moons ago.
Yeah, but it was less games.
It was one less game.
Miami was 3.
Miami was 3 less games. What was it? The 2007?
4 less games, right? Because you get the playoffs. I mean, the Miami had way less games. 3 or 4 less games.
Well, we're talking about the regular season here.
All right. I'm just saying.
It was the 2007 Patriots, right?
Correct.
they were a helmet catch away from being undefeated all the way.
And the greatest season of all time, undeniably, with the highest scoring offense and the fourth best defense. They averaged, I think it was 36 points a game and gave up 17 a game. Like if you look at their point differential and you look at all that stuff, I will, you know me, not a Tom Brady hater, but that year in particular was just unreal. If you want to have a fun time, look that up.
Well, they got a motivated Randy Moss who had kind of had a couple of frustrating seasons. They got him motivated and in his peak with the right coaching, with the right quarterback, and it was just an absolute explosion. So it's a different era here. And I think the Chiefs, my first point is the Chiefs have cracked the code on how to navigate this era. Their offense is ugly, but they actually rank first in success rate in 2024. It's hard to believe, but this is actually true. So what is success rate? It is how often you gain 45% of yardage needed on first down. You gain 60% of what's needed on second down, and you convert third or fourth down into a first down. So they are doing what needs to be done on a down by down basis more than any offense in football. It may not be sexy. The scoring numbers might not be gaudy, but when it comes to matriculating the ball down the field and being consistent, they're the most consistent offense in the league. So I think that is a very good omen, given all the injuries, all the new talent. It's a really exciting thing. So
that's me agreeing with you.
So
that's my.
We're starting off on the right foot here.
Yeah, we're on the good foot. And by the way, take it back. You're a badass. Appreciate you. Take it back. That's very kind of you. And thank you as well. Appreciate you.
Thank you. The Chiefs' margin of victory. So let's look at that. During this, it's really a 13-game winning streak, because the last time they lost was Christmas to the Raiders, but we don't want to go there today. Their margin of victory is 1.7 points. That is very slim if you look at history in terms of these long streaks. So why is that good? Because they know how to grind out close wins better than any team ever. And this is really ironic, actually, because the league kind of crowdsourced how to slow down Mahomes and adopted this new kind of too high shell. We're not going to allow explosives because of Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and the Chiefs just dropping bombs on everybody. So the benefit of that for the Chiefs was they were the earliest adopters. So they have figured this thing out better than anybody else. And I think they've created a team that drags opponents down into the muck. And then they use their vast experience and their clutch performers. And when I'm talking about clutch performers, I'm talking Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Travis Kelce. Who has seen more playoff and big game battles than that quintet? I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, but the continuity is insane in Kansas City, and this formula is really working. Now, let sound effect.
I'm half and half here with you. I'm with you in regards to they know how to beat teams and how one score games and how I do think in today's NFL, especially, parity is king. Like, there's a reason it's always been this way, but I think even more so in the NFL. The NFL is built for parity with the salary cap, with obviously whoever wins the Super Bowl, they draft 32nd. Then, whoever's the worst team, they draft first. I think the NFL in parity has really, and again, I've said this for a little bit now. I don't know if, like, for example, the top 5 players or top 10 players, even top 15 players on an NFL roster are better than the top 5, 10, or 15 back in the 70s. Like, I think there's no way of truthfully knowing that. Like, I always say, like, the greatest players of every era would still be one of the greatest players in every single era because they're transcendent. But I do think the back end of rosters, for the most part, have gotten a little better, which I think has also evened out some of the parity in the NFL. No longer are there some guys that maybe were borderline getting meaningful snaps on a team's roster, right? I think that's a little bit of a difference now. When you see the contracts, the amount of people who play in the NFL, who play in college, it's just more of a business now. So clearly you're going to have more people interested in playing. That's just the nature of the beast. But there is something to winning close games, even if games might be closer now than they have been in the past. But at the same time, they're playing real close games. At times, they're playing with fire. At times, they let teams hang around. They haven't recently. The last 3 games, they really haven't. You know, they beat the Raiders by 1 score, but there was a garbage time touchdown. The last 3 games, the Chiefs have controlled easily. They've basically won by double digits in all 3 of those. 2 scores, however you want to break that thing down. But they have played a lot of close games, and at times we have seen them play down to competition. That does make me at least a little bit nervous. So I get what you're saying. They know how to win close games, but sometimes they let bad teams hang around too long. We've seen it in the past. Teams they should have blown out, they haven't. We always go back to Christmas Day last year with the Raiders, but it's not just them. At times, I'd like to see them, and they have recently, but I want to keep that feeling of controlling games.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think the counter argument there is the Chiefs are the hunted. They are the top of the hierarchy, and everyone wants to beat the Chiefs. So they see everybody else's best game. It's going to be pretty hard to blow teams out. And I think the Chiefs just kind of stay on a real even keel. But you're right. I mean, the margin of error is pretty small. So since it's election season, it's the defense stupid. We're back in a defensive ball control era of football. So the Chiefs are 4th in defensive DVOA. They're 2nd versus the run, but they're also 8th versus the pass. So they really have no weakness on defense. For a while, it looked like maybe kind of the middle of the field, running backs, tight ends, catching passes. But they did a great job against Brock Bowers last week, kind of a transcendent talent that I honestly expected to have 100 yards. They held him to 5 for 58, and a couple of those catches were in garbage time.
Well, so he feasted a little bit early, and then they decided to put McDuffie on him later in the game, and he was just shut down. I mean, I am with you. Overall, they shut down Bowers. He was feasting early until the Chiefs adjusted, which has been, I think, a cornerstone of this Chiefs defense. I think adjustments they do better than any team in the NFL. That first drive, the defense goes, you're gonna score a touchdown, and we're gonna see how you score against us, and then we're gonna take that away from you. But the first drive was like a feeling out period of, okay, you do what you want. We're gonna play the most vanilla defense you've ever seen. You will score a touchdown. You might even take the lead. But that's probably the only touchdown you're going to score in this game.
Yeah, and McDuffie, even the one catch that he gave up to Bowers, he was right where he needed to be. Bowers was just too big for him. So just an amazing job by McDuffie. And now they're dropping in a couple of new ingredients into the pass rush. Joshua Uche and Charles Omenihu. Sounds like he's coming back and a little bit ahead of schedule. That's going to elevate the pass rush. Those two are different players than George Karlaftis and Mike Dana and FAU. I think they're very complementary. The ends that they have right now, the edges that they have right now are kind of power guys, good at stuffing the run. We add a couple more explosive speed rushers into that mix, and the Chiefs have some different pitches to throw at you in terms of their pass rush, which I also think part of the reason they went out and got Uche was maybe they couldn't afford any of the good corners on the market. So the best way to help that back that secondary, that back 7 secondary linebackers is to improve the pass rush. So
it's almost like you can get 2 birds stoned at once. Because a good pass rush takes care of the cornerback room, right? It does to an extent. I don't want to say I'm concerned by it, because that's not the way. In obvious passing down situations, Uche, Charles Omenihu, alongside Chris Jones, Turk, Karlaftis, however they want to make that souped up NASCAR package, is going to be electric. I don't want to sacrifice how great the Chiefs have been against the run in order to try and bolster the pass rush, because the pass rush and the defense in totality has been outstanding. Like the pass rush has been like the weak part, obviously the winning early, but you and I have talked about that. Is part of that because they're so focused on stopping the run that they're almost staying in their lanes. Like they're saying, all right, we're the QB, you're not going to scramble. The run game, we're not going to let you have any explosive plays. And in return, we might not win quite as quickly. We'll see, but I don't want to have to all of a sudden say, okay, now we have Amenahu and Uche, and then now the run game struggles a little bit. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to find a way to not be a complete homer because I am very excited by that pairing, because I think Uche is going to be a souped up FAU. They're basically, it's what they hope FAU is going to be in the future is what Joshua Uche is right now, right? A pass rush specialist. He probably won't play a ton on first and second down, third down, obvious passing situations. They'll say, hey, you get the quarterback. It's not like trying to integrate a cornerback into the defense. That's going to be a little more difficult. Even bringing in a younger wide receiver can be more difficult to get integrated into the offense. Pass rusher, they know what they're supposed to do. You get the QB.
I love the addition. He's a speed rusher, only 240 pounds. I don't think they need to play him that much. I don't care if he plays 20 snaps a game. Let him pin his ears back and do one thing and do it well. And he's graded out excellent these past 3 years. He's been an above average, if not good player these past 3 years. Recently in New England, they've been behind so much, he doesn't get the opportunity to pass rush. I think Bill Belichick made this point already, but it's a very good one. So I thought I'd mention it again. Just really excited about that. And I think the reason why they went after an edge is they just have so much faith in Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo that they're going to figure out how to get Najee Johnson and Joshua Williams playing the way they need to play by the playoffs. And we've just seen it so many times. How could you possibly doubt them? The other thing here is Spags has such a type when it comes to edges, when it comes to defensive ends. He likes those big, sturdy power guys that win with effort. I think every once in a while, Beach just says, damn it, Spags, I'm giving you a speed rusher, man. I've got the need for speed. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. You got to play this guy. I went out and traded for him. You know, whether it's Melvin Ingram or Uche, I kind of think that's a thing. He just gets sick of watching it. We know Beach gets very animated up there in the box when he's not seeing what he likes. And there might be a little truth to that, right?
Yeah, could be.
So let's talk about the schedule. The schedule is becoming easier according to Sharp Football. The defense faces the second easiest remaining schedule in the National Football League. It's pretty great. And this schedule is kind of front loaded. I was always the most worried about those opening two games back to back. I know they're at home, but both the Ravens and the Bengals have such like a score to settle with the Chiefs, and two of the top four quarterbacks in the league. The Chiefs have some new pieces. I thought maybe they could get off to a slow start potentially. That did not happen. So I don't want to say it's smooth sailing, but perhaps the hardest part of their schedule has already passed.
Yeah, and we talked about it actually. You said you could play in the Bengals and Ravens early on week 1 and 2. It could either be a blessing or a curse, right? And I think it was a blessing. I mean, because you faced them when they were clearly not playing good football. The Bengals offense has really taken off week 3 on. Now they're still not winning any football games, but they've at least offensively looked a lot better. The Ravens have played a good amount better since week 1. They lost week 2 to the Raiders as well, but they obviously lost to the Browns, which was hilarious. But I was actually told by the Ravens after week 1 that they were going to get better. That was the worst they're going to play all year, and somehow that was the best the Chiefs were going to play all year. Surprisingly, that wasn't the case. But no, I do think it was good that they played them early. They won those 2 games. They stacked those victories. I know what that's talking about in regards to the schedule. I think the schedule's obviously easier than the first half, but I do think there's still some tough games remaining and games that you just can't overlook. Like the Broncos look better than we expected. The Chargers, I think, look better than expected. The Steelers look a lot better than expected. The Buccaneers are completely injured, which makes that game a little easier. But again, Just throwing that out there.
Same with the Texans. The Texans have lost Stephon Diggs. We don't know what kind of shape Nico Collins is going to be in. I presume he's going to be back by
he's supposed to be back like week 10. So
later December,
I'd expect him to be back.
But Stephon Diggs is a big blow, and Tank Dell doesn't look like himself. CJ Stroud's having a tough year. So some of these games that we thought maybe a month ago looked pretty tough, like the Buccaneers and the Texans, maybe don't look quite as tough today. So, but schedules can change. One of these teams, remember back in 2020 around this time, it looked like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers weren't going to make the damn playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they kind of reconfigured, they had their bye week, and they went on a crazy run and they won it all. Now, I mean, we didn't have any tackles, but we beat that dead horse. We've exhumed it and beat it to death like 30 times. So this is, I think, something that is underrated with the Chiefs. Injuries don't sink the Chiefs like they do other teams. You look at what happens to the Miami Dolphins when they don't have Tua, and we've seen the Chiefs in playoff games lose Mahomes and still win. We've seen them kind of steady the ship when he misses a couple games in the regular season. We've seen this before. We've seen them lose Pacheco, Hollywood Brown, Juju, Rashid, now Jalen Watson. It's just next man up. They know how to figure this out. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. If they don't have T. Higgins, they lose. It's that simple. They cannot win a game without both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That
system
offense,
quarterback.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way he plays and the way that offense is designed, they really need both of those guys. They can't really run the football. The defense is trash. Maybe signing a bunch of veterans all at once, that was not a sustainable long-term plan for defense, right? It worked for a few years, but anyway, we're dunking on the Bengals here. But I just look at all these teams that when they're missing a piece or two, they just kind of fall apart. And the Chiefs have been fairly lucky with injuries leading up to this season, but not so much this season. And I just think their ability to adapt and find ways to win is kind of underappreciated.
Agreed. I mean, people make excuses all the times for the Chargers or for the Niners right now. I mean, how many teams? And the Chiefs are just like, okay, that's fine. We're not going to make excuses. We're just going to win. We're going to find a way to win. And again, even when Mahomes, hopefully it never happens again, but when he's missed games or missed plays, Andy Reid finds a way to make the offense roll and work. What happened to the Dolphins? I mean, they looked inept. They look like the Patriots or the Panthers. Like
worse.
I mean, that's what makes this organization so great, top to bottom. They know how, when they say next man up, they mean it. I mean, eventually every team has a breaking point. Every single team does. We saw it with the Chiefs, with the offensive line, right? That's a real thing. But this team, they've done such a great job of identifying, drafting, developing, bringing in depth. Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti, they find ways. I mean, Wanye Morris, right? Kingsley was supposed to be their starting left tackle, but they had enough depth to say, all right, we'll go with Wanye Morris. Like, that's a very underrated part of this Chiefs organization, and their strategy is to make sure they have depth. Having depth allowed them to move on from Willie Gay Jr. Having depth allowed them to move on from not paying L'Jarius Sneed. It allowed them to move on from Tyreek Hill. I mean, it allowed them to bring back, and like the Noah Gray signing. How many teams do that? How many teams sign Noah Gray for that contract? The Chiefs understood what that means depth-wise, what he does to this offense. The Chiefs didn't have Noah Gray with all these wide receiver injuries. What would this offense have looked like? Again, I'm not saying Noah Gray is his prime Jerry Rice, but he's a really good tight end that helps his offense go, and they know what they can do with him when they rock 12 personnel. I'm just so impressed with the strategy and the depth this Chiefs team has.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that when other teams lose their quarterback, they are more panicked than we are when ours goes down. Chad Henne, I think a lot of us had faith. We didn't want to win that way, but whether it was that Jaguars game more recently or the Browns game way back when they had Baker Mayfield in the playoffs, Andy Reid found a way to win playoff football games with a backup playing significant snaps. And I don't think that's something a lot of teams can do. Maybe like super well coached teams like San Francisco and Green Bay, but I think you can count on one hand the teams that aren't sunk by these disastrous injuries. And I think the Chiefs are built to survive them. And I think the thing that gives me the most confidence here is that Mahomes there hasn't been that much Mahomes magic so far this year. He hasn't really looked like himself, but we've seen this movie before. We saw this in 2021. Last year, we've seen the slow starts and the strong finishes. It's just kind of the way it goes sometimes with the Chiefs. You add in DeAndre Hopkins, who I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, but I was very happy with the way he looked on the football field, the way he moved, the way he understood the spacing and the timing and just all the bells and whistles of the offense. It seems like it's going to be a pretty seamless transition for D-Hop. Xavier Worthy, we know that rookie wide receivers, we saw this last year with Rashee Rice, they typically have second half breakouts. Some of these real alphas like Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr., guys that are picked. I know Worthy was picked in the first round, but the guys that are kind of your prototypical first round receivers, they come on a little faster, but especially in an Andy Reid system where it's a little bit more complex and he keeps the training wheels on guys, I think we can look forward to seeing a lot more from Worthy the second half of the season. And really the last thing here, I know left tackle looked horrendous last weekend with Wanya Morris. I know at times it's looked very bad with Kingsley Suamataia. Andy Heck will improve the left tackle situation. It happens every season. They've gone through rough stretches with Donovan Smith. They've gone through rough stretches with Orlando Brown Jr. They've had rough stretches on the right side, but by the end of the season and the playoffs, there's less penalties, there's less sacks, there's more cohesion, more continuity. And for my money, maybe Callahan in Tennessee now is a better offensive line coach, but Andy Heck is up there in the tippy top of the top when it comes to offensive line coaching. And Andy Reid knows a thing or two about offensive line coaching too. So these are all the factors that I'm considering when looking at a 17-0 season, which is probably not likely, but I do actually think is possible. Let's take a look at the remaining schedule. Again, we're going to mark the teams that we see as a big threat, red, the teams we see as a moderate threat, yellow, and the teams we see as no threat at all, green. Let's start with next Monday night's game, Monday Night Football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, sans Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who really had Baker Mayfield looking like an upper echelon quarterback, because you could really make an argument. I think a lot of people continue to sleep on those two, but maybe still the best 1-2 punch at receiver in the league. And now they're gone.
I'll go yellow here. I know a lot of people say green, as I see Phantom in the chat and everything. I'm not quite ready to put them there yet. They're still playing for something in the NFC. They look pretty good against the Falcons. Now, the Falcons secondary is bad, and they don't have quite the pass rush that Kansas City's pass rush has. But Cade Otton's a good tight end. Bucky Irving getting very involved in the pass game as well. The Chiefs' best strength, as we're talking about this year, is their run defense. Well, the Bucs can't run the football. So quite frankly, they don't. What they do is they pass the ball to Bucky Irving and Rachaad White, who's also a great pass catcher out of the backfield. Again, I think the Chiefs win, but I think it's going to be a little tighter game than some people would like or realize. Yes, all the injuries to wide receiver, but Baker's been really, really good this year. and just how the pass catching ability of the backs of Tampa Bay, how good they are. I'll still put this as a yellow.
And they've got some sneaky good receivers. They've got Jalen McMillan out of Washington, who everybody slept on because of Jalen Polk and Roma Dunze, of course. They've got Trey Palmer out of Nebraska. They have Sterling Shepard, who, poor guys like the New York Jody Fortson, has just suffered a million injuries, but has been a really good target earner when healthy. So they've got some guys that can play, and you got to give it up to Baker Mayfield. This is a serious career resurgence. I'm not ready to put him in the top 10 or anything, but is he Kirk Cousins level quarterback right now?
Oh yeah. Right now,
I think so. I think so. So we'll have that one as yellow. Next up, Broncos at Arrowhead. How are we feeling about that one?
So the Broncos have been better than expected, but I think at home, okay, we'll obviously say the away game later, but at home, I'll go green. I don't believe in the Broncos in Arrowhead. I think Bo Nix, his first game at Arrowhead, oh my gosh. Their defense is really good. I'll give the Broncos defense a lot of credit. Their defense has been a lot better than I expected with a lot of those pieces gone. But I think in Arrowhead, I'll go green. Maybe I'm not being bullish enough on the job Sean Payton's done. On the road, I'll have a different opinion. But at home, I'll go green.
I'm just never going to take a rookie quarterback visiting Arrowhead for the first time to have a big game.
Yeah.
It's so improbable. We've seen a ton of meltdowns in their first game. I just don't see it. Now, out there at Mile High, or whatever the hell they call it now, different story, and we will get to that. The next one, there's no reason to sugarcoat it. If there's an obvious red on this docket, it is going up to Upper New York to play the Bills, who have to have a bad taste in their mouth after what happened in last year's playoffs, right?
Call back to when I was 12 years old playing Call of Duty, drinking this baby. Call this a Code Red. Mountain Dew Code Red. Great Mountain Dew.
Debatable. But we're in total agreement here. It's got to be red. And then the next one is the easiest green. It's the
bright
Panthers.
green. Bright green.
Yeah, I mean, chartreuse, whatever, the neon green. Whatever you can find. The brightest color of green possible. Worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And they just traded away Deontay Johnson. So
Raiders at home. Green.
Yeah. I mean, trading away Devontae Adams. Jacoby Myers is a nice player, but they have no running game. Who is Zamir White and Alexander Mattison going to scare? Their defense, I'm not impressed. Max Crosby is obviously awesome, but Jawan Taylor did a very, very good job against him. I mean, like, shockingly well. He played shockingly well against him. No pressures allowed. So the Raiders just don't have it. I think they are bottom 3 team in the league right now, bottom 4.
I was surprised. I deserve to be ripped on. I thought the Raiders were going to be salty this year. Not necessarily good, but I was like, they're over under 6.5. I'm like, I'm ripping the over. They're going like 8-9, maybe 9-8. Christian Wilkins being injured really threw a wrench into things, because I thought him paired with Max Crosby defensively was going to be just a 2-man wrecking crew. We didn't really get to see it, right? Wilkins got injured very early. They threw the towel in very early in regards to Devontae Adams. They have zero run game. I mean, absolutely zero run game. Zamir White was horrible. Then they went to Alexander Mattison, who's been really bad. I was wrong. Antonio Pierce is not that guy. I believed in him. I don't any longer. So this is me. This is my apology. The Raiders are well worse than I thought they were going to be.
Don't be too hard on yourself. You get a lot more right than you get wrong. The reason I wasn't high on the Raiders is because when teams have defensive coaches, this is another reason why I wasn't high on the Jets. I have to really like their offensive coordinator. I don't really like Luke Getsy, and I need to like their quarterback. I have to at least like one of the two.
Yeah.
And that situation is just not good. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and what the hell was happening with Desmond Ridder last week? He comes in, he gets a penalty, and they take him right back out. I think he was going to run the ball, but still, that was bizarre, right?
Yeah. All right, next one. Chargers at home. I'll go yellow. Herbert's playing really good ball. I've been impressed with Justin Herbert throwing the football. Like, as far as the past couple games, he's really come on. His connection with Ladd McConkey is really becoming nice. Ladd McConkey, 2 touchdowns last week, over 100 yards. He's becoming his number one target. They're effective running the football. Defensively, they got some pieces. They've been great defensively overall. Like, the names maybe don't wow you, but they've been nails defensively. They've been one of the best. They might be the best scoring defense in the NFL right now. I think they still are. That's going to be a grinded out game. Chiefs and Chargers, whatever it is, I'm probably ripping the under in that one. But I'll go yellow, bordering red. But I'll go yellow.
Red's a consideration. I just don't know that they have the firepower. And this is getting later in the year where I think the Chiefs offense will be ascending and putting up a little bit more points. I agree with you. Justin Herbert's a hell of a talent. I think that previous coaching staff or the previous coaching staffs did him a number of disservices, but he's looking good. And similar to Sean Payton, one of the reasons you have to be scared of this team is they have excellent coaching. So next up is the Browns.
Yellow.
The new look Browns, the Jameis Winston Browns.
Yellow. With Jameis Winston, you have no idea. Jameis can go out there and they just beat the Ravens.
Yeah, but the AFC North, those teams always play each other tight and beat the shit out of each other. So it never surprises me when there's an upset in that division. It's kind of like the Raiders beating us. It's not as big of an upset. If the Raiders end up beating us this year, that won't be surprising compared to like the Panthers beating us. So the Browns just, I don't see it. I
think the Chiefs win, obviously, but I with Jameis Winston, they are a much better team. No denying.
And that says more about Deshaun Watson than it does even Jameis Winston. And Joe Flacco was much better than Deshaun Watson was just historically bad. Not only are they better, Jameis Winston is better without Amari Cooper than Deshaun Watson was with Amari Cooper, which is just kind of crazy. But
correct.
They're definitely agreeing. Now we're at the Texans. And
red.
Do we think
red? And because of how the schedule lines up, red, for a multitude of reasons.
Are you saying just because they have those 3 games in 10 days, that is one of the bigger reasons? Because
Texans do too. Texans do, Ravens do, Steelers do, Chiefs do.
And I know you were high on them coming in, but they haven't been very consistent. And with Stephon Diggs out and Tank Dell not being himself, and who knows what version of Nico Collins we'll get, we'll probably have a fairly full strength one by then. But CJ Stroud it's just not coming together.
Well, he's been great. It's been the offensive line. The offensive line has been one of the worst in football, which has been surprising. The defense is still good for the Texans. I think they're a really well-rounded, complete team. Like, I'm not saying they're elite yet. They're not in that category, but they're a really well-rounded team. The offensive line of the Texans has been bad, but that's the main reason. And there's still CJ Stroud's a great quarterback, man. Nico Collins will be back. So you still have Nico and Tank Dell. Plus Joe Mixon's been outstanding. Chiefs will stop the run, but he's still been a really good back. Dalton Schultz is a above average tight end. And again, I like the Texans overall still. So I think that one to me is a red. I think they're a really good team.
It's not a red in the like a flashing, blinking, blinding red light like the Bills, but I can see a red here. Nico Collins, honestly, there was an argument that he was the best receiver in the league the first month of the season. He just looked unfreaking stoppable. I think CJ Stroud's going to get it together. I agree with you. The line play is a bit surprising. That is actually why I think Justin Herbert's coming on. His tackles haven't given up a pressure all season. I think they're just like 2 unstoppable bookends. And you kind of expected that from the Texans. You haven't gotten it, but we're going to go red here. next up is the surprisingly frisky Steelers at 6-2 atop the AFC North, probably the least likely team in a lot of people's opinions to be leading the AFC North at this time of year. But Russell Wilson enjoying a bit of a career resurgence here, and another well-coached ball club. I know a lot of people didn't like Arthur Smith as a head coach, but as a play caller, he was good in Tennessee. He looks good here. And Mike Tomlin is one of the best head coaches in the league. So I think this has to be at least a yellow.
Yeah, I think it's what's yellow and red combined? Is that
orange?
Almost orange? An orange-ish?
Well, remember, the Chiefs lost on Christmas Day last year.
This is, again, the stretch, the very tail end of that 3-10, 3-11 games. As Ronson Trait says, another bad matchup for Wanye. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers' defensive line is unreal. Cam Hayward's having an absolute resurgence this year. Offensively,
TJ Watt, of course.
Yeah, and offensively, I don't know what to make of the Steelers yet with Russell Wilson. I don't. The deep ball looks really good. Just how he's throwing the ball, Russell Wilson looks really good. But the Chiefs' defense is elite. Those moon balls with Chiefs defenders who don't always find the ball. This is not necessarily a knock against Casey. I think it's more of a philosophical. I've talked about this for a while. Like, Javarius Ward was so damn good, doesn't get interceptions. L'Jarius Sneed so damn good, doesn't get interceptions. Trent McDuffie so damn good, doesn't get interceptions. Right? I wonder how that faces, which we've seen Russell Wilson in the past against KC, and they've typically handled business. Although that one game, we did the Arrowhead Addict show, right? The second half when the Broncos came back, and that was the whole thing. I'm a little concerned about Russell Wilson with the moon ball if he's still playing like this.
It's not just the moon ball and how well he throws it. It is how good George Pickens is at contested catches. Because we've seen guys like Mike Williams and Mike Evans, those big ball winners, give the Chiefs defensive backs problems. I mean, even Jamar Chase in that crazy game he had against the Chiefs 4 years ago when he was a rookie, where he was just mossing everybody. That might be one of their weaknesses. They're not the Chiefs corners are not taught to be ball hawks necessarily. So that worries me a little bit. They've got two good running backs. Najee's had 300-yard games in a row, and Jalen Warren last year is one of the most efficient players in the league. So they've got some weapons, but I just don't know if I can get to red.
Yeah.
We're going orange.
We're going orange. I see Riggs in the chat says he's still kind of a statue in the pocket at times. The problems he suffered in Denver haven't all gone away. No, I agree. I'm not saying he's perfect. I've been impressed with the two games, though, so far. I've been very, very impressed with those two games. He's made a couple of better throws than I thought on the move, right? There was one where I thought he was for sure going down. He would have gone down in Denver. It was a play action, a little bit of a bootleg that was read correctly by the defense, and he was still able to pick up a first down with his arm. No, he's not Justin Fields, but I've been impressed with him. I do want to see more, because I was pretty adamant that they shouldn't have gone to him, that Justin Fields was doing everything you were asking of him, which I thought he was. But Russell Wilson's been better at throwing the ball down the field, but it has in turn, I think, opened up a lot of the play action as well as the run game. Najee Harris looks better. Jalen Warren's now back.
And think about who their receivers are. They're all deep threats. Pickens, Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson. These are guys that Justin Fields couldn't really unlock, but they're perfect for Russ.
I know we got to get through this, but I see a question from Lila. Lila in the chat says, does anyone know what Matt Connor, or why Matt Connor is never on anymore? Well, Matt Connor is the head chief editor over there at the website at arrowheadaddict.com. Dude is a busy man right now during the season, just churning out articles. Editor-in-chief. He's a badass. He's still on every once in a while, especially on game day. You'll see him on game day, and you'll also see him tomorrow. We all recorded a special Halloween edition. You got Adam Betts, you got Matt Connor, you have Patrick, myself, and Price. So you'll see him on tomorrow's edition. I love Matt Connor. So he's just a busy man during the season.
And you can hear Matt on Monday night with me. We do the pregame together. So we have a lot of fun kind of setting the table for each matchup. So be sure to check that out on Monday night. The last one, Broncos away. I don't care who plays for the Chiefs and who plays for the Broncos. In Denver, this is a red game every single year in, year out, no matter what. This is red.
Yep, I'm with you. That's why I said maybe green at home with Bo Nix. I think it's probably red on the road. I think the home field advantage for both sides is drastic in this one.
So here's the tally. We have 4 greens. I believe that's the most. We have 2 yellows, which are the moderates. And then we have 3 reds and an orange. So if you're really looking at the reds and the semi-reds, there are 4 really dangerous games remaining on the schedule. 17-0, probably not happening, but there is a chance. And I can't see them doing worse than 14-3, barring some catastrophic situation. And I could easily see 15-2, 16-1 is even a possibility. If I had to probably bet on it, I'd probably say they're going to be 15-2.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I had 14-3 with them sitting out the starters for the last game of the season.
So percentage of chances for the Chiefs going 17-0. Sterling has them at 11%. I was going to say 15. So we're in the same ballpark. Not a very good chance. Like, I don't know if it's 1-10 or 1-8 or 1-7, but
ask me post Buffalo what it comes down to.
Right. That is the biggest hurdle. If they are 10-0 after playing the Bills, we're going to take another look at this, because then it becomes a real conversation.
And also, again, I think the last game of the season, it's going to be a big one. They might be, we'll see. The three-peat to me means way more than the undefeated regular season.
Right.
The three-peat means way, way more.
Let's game theory this out. The Chiefs have locked up the number 1 seed.
No, we're not doing this. This is a conversation. It's called a tease, Best. You got to tease them.
I think people know where I'm going. The Broncos
I know where people know you're going. You have the conversation next time.
Okay. We dropped a trailer for a future movie. Early score predictions. I'm sticking with the 23 for the Chiefs, Bucks 17. That's just kind of my standard, picking the Chiefs to win and only score 23 points. That's about what they average. So how about you, Sterling?
I'm going for the first 30 bomb of the game for the Chiefs. I'm really, the offense has impressed me. They're improving in the red zone a lot. I think DeAndre Hopkins gets more involved. I love seeing Xavier Worthy more involved in the offense. I actually thought Xavier Worthy looked more enthused. Again, he dropped a lot of balls, or at least some tough catches, but I think balls that we expected him to come down with as the season goes on. But what really had me excited, Mahomes is looking his way, and he's getting open. 2 big things. I think the Chiefs score 30 points this game. I'm all in on that. I think the Buccaneers offense is still better than people are giving them credit for. I think 20 points is fair. I'm going Chiefs 30, Buccaneers 20. I typically don't. I've been more on the low side. I've been ripping a lot of unders, telling folks, the Chiefs defense, the offense is still finding footing. I think this is one where we start to see a little bit of a breakout offensively for KC.
I hope so. Every time we play the Bucks, I really want to beat them. I'm still not over Super Bowl 55. Todd Bowles is still there. I love to see us run it up a little bit on them. Yeah, I think your point on Worthy, I saw him running some more big boy routes last week. He looked more like a functional NFL receiver and not just the field stretcher who does an occasional gimmick play like McCole Hardman plus. That had kind of been his role until last week. And last week I thought, okay, they're turning him into someone who has a more full route tree. So positive development. Let's get out of here with our last quick segment. What's spinning? Sterling, what are you listening to?
Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith. Favorite Aerosmith album by far. Toys in the Attic, Uncle Salty, the cover of a big 10-inch record. They always love to look at my big 10-inch record. I love. I'm pretty sure actually that's Walk This Way's on it. It's just such a great album.
So Walk This Way, album. They had that both. That was on Run DMC's album and Aerosmith's album.
Did you not know that was Aerosmith's song? That was then
No, I knew it was both of theirs, but I just didn't know it was on both albums.
yeah, it was 75. Was that the Toys in the Attic album? Let me go ahead. Just let me get a little. I like doing a little. That was 1975. So you had Uncle Salty, Toys in the Attic, Adam's Apple, which is pretty funny. Walk This Way, big 10-inch record, Sweet Emotion. The Ad albums. Favorite album by them by far. It's a great album.
Yeah, I remember now. I have Raising Hell, the Run DMC album, and basically it was just kind of a stunt remix for Run DMC to cross over, I suppose is what you'd say. For me, this is a new one. Jamie XX, an album called In Waves. He is my favorite electronic artist. He had one of the best albums of the 2010s in 2015 called In Color, and then waited almost a decade to drop another album. And I was starving for it. It's lived up to expectations. He is, and he's the kind of electronic music that my wife, who's pretty chill, she likes him. So I think it's pretty accessible. It's not like you have to be doing drugs or listening to this at a club at 2 a.m. This is like all-purpose music. And I like that we mix it up. We have a little hip hop, we have a little classic, we have modern rock, now electric. That's all we've got for you guys. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. Do Sterling and I a favor, make us look good, guys. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is, if you're an audio listener, or even if you're not an audio listener and you have Spotify or Apple, leave us a 5-star review. That helps us so much. That helps new listeners find us. And what we'll do, if you ask a question along with that review, we will answer it on our Thursday show, the OG Hour. Lastly, be sure to check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. The aforementioned Matt Connor is doing awesome work. His team over there is killing it. So don't forget to visit the website that kind of started it all for us. And the chat. That's actually lastly, the chat. You guys always bring it, always kill it. We couldn't do this live show without you, so we appreciate you. Join us live next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.